Her jaw came out in her doctor's hand, not broken, not pulled. It simply crumbled apart like chalk while she sat there fully conscious. Weeks earlier, she had been one of the highest-paid young women in America, famous for her steady hands and her glowing smile, a smile that at night actually glowed in the dark. This really happened, and the company responsible knew the truth long before it told her. In the early 1900s, one element captured the imagination of the entire world: radium. Discovered by Marie and Pierre Curie in 1898, it glowed with a soft, otherworldly light and seemed to radiate endless energy. Nobody yet understood the danger hidden inside that glow. The public fell in love with it instantly. Radium was added to toothpaste, face cream, tonics, even drinking water, sold as a miracle cure that could heal almost anything. So when factories opened to paint watch dials with radium-laced paint, it looked like the opportunity of a lifetime. The paint, called Undark, let soldiers read their watches in the pitch-black trenches of World War I. After the war ended, glowing watches became a civilian sensation, and companies in New Jersey and Illinois needed workers fast. They needed steady hands, sharp eyes, and patience. Young women, some barely out of high school, lined up by the hundreds. The pay was almost 3 times the average factory wage. These women felt lucky, proud even. Some painted their nails, their teeth, even their faces with the leftover radium paint just for fun, laughing as they lit up like ghosts walking home in the dark. Nobody warned them not to. Here is where the story turns. To paint the tiny numbers on a watch dial, the bristles of the brush had to be shaped into a fine, precise point. The factories taught every woman the same technique. Put the brush between your lips, shape it, dip it in radium paint, paint the dial, then do it again. Lip dip paint hundreds of times a day, thousands of times a week. Every motion carried radioactive material directly into their mouths, and what happened next would take years to uncover, because the company already knew more than it admitted. In the very same buildings, chemists handling that exact same radium wore heavy lead aprons. They used protective screens and metal tongs, never touching the substance with bare skin. The dial painters were given nothing, no warning, no mask, no reason to be careful. They were simply told, keep using your lips, it makes the work faster. For a while, nothing seemed wrong. Then, one by one, the women started getting sick. It began small, a toothache that would not heal, a tooth that came loose and slipped out almost painlessly. Then their jaws began to swell, then rot, disintegrating from the inside in a condition doctors would later name radium jaw. Some lost entire sections of bone. Others felt a deep ache creeping into their legs and spine, bones turning so brittle they fractured under almost no pressure at all. Blood disorders followed. Severe anemia, tumors. Death came slowly and painfully. For women who just a few years earlier had been the pride of their factories, doctors were stumped. Many misdiagnosed the illness as syphilis, branding these hard-working young women with a label that destroyed their reputations along with their health. For years, nobody connected the dots. Then in 1925, everything changed. A New Jersey medical examiner named Dr. Harrison Martland made a discovery that would expose the whole tragedy. Radium, he found, behaves like calcium inside the human body. It does not pass through and leave. It settles permanently into the bones and stays there, radiating from the inside, for the rest of a person's life. Every lip, dip, paint motion had planted a radioactive time bomb inside these women's skeletons, one that had been ticking for years. And then came the part that turned tragedy into outrage. Evidence surfaced showing the companies had known all along. Internal doctors and scientists had documented signs of radium poisoning in workers far earlier than the public was ever told. Some medical reports were quietly buried. Some findings were never shared with the very women whose bodies they described. While their employees were dying one by one, the factories kept running exactly as before, as if nothing was wrong at all. In 1927, one woman decided that silence had gone on long enough. Her name was Grace Fryer. Already gravely ill, she spent nearly 2 years searching for a lawyer willing to challenge a powerful corporation. She finally found one. 4 other women joined her, all suffering the same horrifying symptoms. The newspapers gave them a name that would outlive them all, the Radium Girls. Together, they sued the United States Radium Corporation. The trial became a national sensation. Some of the women were too weak to raise their own arms to take the oath and had to be carried into the courtroom. Reporters described their condition in devastating detail. Women barely in their 20s who could no longer walk, speak clearly, or even lift a spoon to eat. The public was horrified. The company, meanwhile, tried every possible delay tactic, quietly hoping the women would die before the case ever reached a verdict. In 1928, under overwhelming public pressure, the company finally agreed to settle. Each woman received compensation, a small lifetime pension, and payment of her medical bills. It felt like justice. Most of them would not live long enough to enjoy it. The story was not finished. In Ottawa, Illinois, another group of dial painters working for the Radium Dial Company faced the exact same nightmare. A decade later, one of them, Catherine Wolfe Donahue, became the face of a new legal battle. Her body was already wasting away from radium poisoning. Still, in 1938, she testified before the Illinois Industrial Commission. She won her case. She died months later, but their fight outlived them. These lawsuits forced a fundamental shift in American law, giving workers, for the first time, the right to sue employers for injuries caused by unsafe working conditions. The suffering directly shaped the safety regulations that protect workers to this very day. From radiation exposure limits to the foundation of modern occupational health law itself, they were promised glamour, independence, a better life. What they left behind was something far greater, a warning written permanently into their own bones, one that changed the fate of every worker who came after them. Every time someone checks a glowing watch today, they are looking at a legacy paid for by women who never got to grow old. The glow on their skin faded a long time ago. Their names should never fade at all.